Part 198. Divine System of the Strongest Card Supplier in the End Times, Doomsday Strongest Card Supplier. Author, Shu Yu. Chapter 1971. Me. Haishan, the god-son of the Dark Temple, suddenly disappeared at a critical moment. His eyes scanned the surrounding area, and then his body trembled involuntarily, cold sweat gradually came out on his forehead, and his breathing seemed extremely rapid. If you don't have the guts, don't talk nonsense here. It's just a joke. Extremely ridiculous. Fang Fan smiled indifferently, not bothering to fight with such an idiot. Did you see clearly? Don't lose the face of our Dark Temple. Snapped. The Along Sage of the Dark Temple frowned silently, seeing his godson cowering like a mother-in-law. He slapped him down angrily. It was embarrassing enough for all the cultivators of the Dark Temple to come out naked this time, but now there is another wave. He simply threw his face out of the sky. I'm not sure that the Chu beast didn't completely devour one or two god's fruits. So I'm not sure if Fang Fan still has the 9 god fruits. But one thing is for sure, he must have more than one fruit of God. I am sure of this. He Tian, son of the god of darkness temple, was talking, and then he gritted his teeth and said, while speaking, his body twitched unnaturally, various thoughts twitched in his mind, and his body trembled. He really didn't want to miss such a good opportunity. The fruit of God, that is the fruit of God, in this state, he is the sinner of the entire Dark Temple, and the people in the Dark Temple don't know how to treat him. After returning to the Dark Temple, he will definitely suffer boundless punishment. It is not certain whether the position of the Son of God can be kept. So it seemed very flustered. But it would be different if he took the fruit of God for the Dark Temple, even if it was just a fruit of God, it would be a great achievement. All in all, he had to gamble. Seeing the cowardly look on the face of He Tian, the godson of the Dark Temple, the surrounding crowd who were watching melon-eating crowd all laughed. Especially the group of cultivators in the light camp, the laughter was particularly strong. It's so ridiculous, do you still have a little self-knowledge? That's it? That's it? What kind of trouble is it going to be? I just said firmly that Fang Fan has 9 fruits of God on his body, but now it's not sure. Just treat what I said as bullshit, anyway, that's what I mean. Laughed, I really laughed this time. This guy still has a great talent for being funny. It's a pity, it's just that the melon seeds in my head are not working well, but everything else is fine. There is an inexplicable sense of stupidity. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, I feel my scalp is numb. Hey, is this the godson of the Dark Temple? I can do it? Hey. What nonsense, put on your clothes first. Damn it. I've been looking at a big man's body for so long, shit. But I have to say that the name of Haishan Zhenzi has a black letter, but his body is indeed very white. It's just that the thing doesn't seem very big, it's so big that you have the nerve to take it out and shake the market. Hey. Can't he be short and dainty? Don't be a silver gun candle head. A series of sarcasm spread to the left and right, and He Tian, the son of the Dark Temple, had already been dismissed as useless. Divine System of the Strongest Card Supplier in the End Times, Doomsday Strongest Card Supplier. Author, Shu Yu. Chapter 1972. There is no end to ridicule. Now, He Tian, the godson of the Dark Temple, has become the target of contempt for everyone. After all, he is also the son of God of the Dark Temple, and when he speaks, he doesn't care about the influence at all. If you can't do it, don't say it. I finished my big talk before, and now I'm about to play. Are you scared? Fang Fan. If you have the ability, you can change the conditions of your life bet. If more than one fruit of God is found from you and your guards, then you will kill yourself, otherwise, I will kill myself. How about it? Hee hee, You can't be afraid because you are timid, right? Or are you just deceiving everyone from the beginning to the end? I already understood everything, so you are such a person. Pathetic. Ridiculous. I can see it completely, but you are still cowardly. If you really have a clear conscience, you can gamble. Dare. He Tian, son of the Dark Temple, continued to shout. While talking at this moment, his mind gradually churned, his eyes frantically scanned the surroundings. The purpose was to stimulate Fang Fan. Fang Fan remained unmoved by the inferior aggressive method. Fang Fan never cared about this, but if he could get rid of this annoying fly, Fang Fan would still be happy. Buzzing here all the time, I feel my head bursting for no reason. Brother Fang Fan, the godson of the Dark Temple, broke his promise first. We don't need to talk to him at all. There's no need to explain anything to him. Dong Qiushuo, the saint of the Temple of the Light Alliance, stood by Fang Fan's side, and then said softly. He wanted to pull Fang Fan back directly, so as not to be framed in one way or another. Brother Dongguo, I have a clear conscience, why should I care about the clamor of those young people? However, if some people insist on seeking death, I can help them. The corners of Fang Fan's mouth raised silently, a murderous intent flickered in his eyes, and he walked forward indifferently. Establish the contract of the gods. Establish a life and death certificate. Swear in the name of the temple. Those who break the contract, their souls will fall into the boundless hell, and their bodies will disappear in smoke. Eternal life will never be reborn. Fang Fan squinted his eyes, and while talking, his thoughts gradually boiled, as if he wanted to burn everything. The shocking feeling is revealed, and there is quite a frightening feeling. Hsia, the son of the god of darkness temple, retreated a few steps in consciousness, with a look of panic on his face. You must know that everything he said before is speculation, although this kind of speculation has a high probability. What if something happens? Haishan, the godson of the Dark Temple, clenched his fist silently, and cold sweat gradually leaked from his forehead. At this moment, his whole body was soaked in sweat, and his trembling body showed the uneasiness in his heart. At this moment, all the cultivators around saw the appearance of He Tian, the godson of the Dark Temple, and immediately started to laugh. It's really mud that can't support the wall, he made the rules himself, and now he's coward again? Counseled once, and then a second time. Why do I find it so funny? He, who said no, this guy's head is a little abnormal, I want to laugh when I see it. It's ridiculous. It's despicable. Is there really no one in the Dark Temple? Can such a person be pushed out to be the Son of God? Don't be ridiculous, okay? He, at this moment, I just want to spit out a wave. If you're really scared, go back quickly. Disgraceful thing. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Divine System of the Strongest Card Supplier in the End Times, Doomsday Strongest Card Supplier. Author, Shu Yu. Chapter 1973. Hearing the voices of contempt and scolding from the surroundings, Haishan, the son of the Dark Temple, gritted his back molars viciously, and strands of blood gradually leaked out. Now he is really scared. If you say you don't feel anything, it must be a lie. Bet your life. Live and die. God's contract. It's like having no way out. Qi Long Saint, I. He Tian looked at Qi Long, the saint of the Dark Temple, who was begging for help, and now he could only rely on this one in front of him. The complexion of Saint Ilong from the Dark Temple became darker and darker. Now it's not just Haishan's embarrassment, because he is still the son of God of the Dark Temple, so even the entire Dark Temple has become the object of contempt. At this moment, the eyes of each other gathered together, and the killing intent has become particularly clear. At this moment, I can't wait to rush forward and carry out a wave of crazy slaughter. Snapped. Clap clap. Sage Along opened his bow from left to right, and slapped Sage Along on the face of this dark temple with several big ear scrapers. At this moment, he took a deep breath and barely suppressed the anger in his heart. Now his hands are silently clenched into fists, the sound of breathing gradually becomes more soothing, the whole person also relaxes, and the strength of the face gradually becomes relaxed. Don't be a disgrace to the temple. There are no cowards in my dark temple. The dark temple can have God's sons who died in battle, but cowardly God's sons are absolutely not allowed. It is already obvious that the Along Sage of the Dark Temple has said this. In fact, it is to force the palace in an all-round way, gradually threatening Haitian, the son of the Dark Temple, so that he has a steelyard in his heart. If you continue to procrastinate like this, just wait to die. Haitian twitched his lips, with a more or less desperate look on his face. The road ahead was completely blocked, and the only way left for him was to fight resolutely. Okay. I am willing to sign the life and death certificate. Sign the contract of God. Anyway, the one who will die in the end must be you. Fang Fan, I know that your self-confidence at the moment is all faked, but you are actually terrified in your heart right now. I really don't know where your courage comes from. If I were you, I'm afraid I would have run away long ago. Since you still want to come back and die. Ridiculous. Really ridiculous. Haitian, the godson of the Dark Temple, seemed to be talking to himself, rambling on a lot. In fact, now he just wants to use this way of speaking to cover up the panic in his heart. In fact, in the final analysis, the person who is really afraid is actually himself. But on the bright side, this guy naturally couldn't admit it, on the contrary he still had to pretend to be extremely arrogant. It can only be said that this guy is really tired. The relevant God's contract and the life and death certificate were directly signed, and all the situations have been completely stabilized. Start checking now. This saint wants to check it himself. The Along Saint from the Dark Temple flew over directly, ready to fully inspect the storage rings on Fang Fan, Galen, and others. Things have come to this, and they can only go according to the procedure. Zuxian, the sage of the Temple of the Light Alliance on the side, looked excited. He was actually looking forward to finding more fruits of God from Fang Fan. He can have one of the fruits of the gods, and then he will be able to leapfrog the current class and take off directly. The threshold of the 8-star sanctuary realm is too difficult to cross. The fruit of God is the key. Divine system of the strongest card supplier in the end times, Doomsday strongest card supplier. Author, Shu Yu. Chapter 1974. In addition to these benefits, if Fang Fan really found the second fruit of God, then Fang Fan would have to judge himself here according to the relevant God's contract. At that time, it can be regarded as revenge for his lover. It can only be said that this is a two-way choice. Zuxian narrowed his eyes, thinking this way in his heart, all kinds of ideas exploded in his mind. Dong Qiushuo, the saint of the Light Alliance Temple, has always been worried. He was still a little worried about Fang Fan. He was afraid that Fang Fan had to agree to the God's contract and life and death certificate just now because of the pressure of the situation. If this is the case, then you will really have to pay a heavy price. From Dong Qiushuo's point of view, he naturally didn't want any accidents to happen to Fang Fan. After all, in his eyes, they were both gods under the command of Athena, the goddess of wisdom. We went back together. Brother Dongguo, don't worry, those who clean up will clean up themselves. As for the matter that Brother Dongguo told me before leaving, everything has been done, but please rest assured. Fang Fan smiled, looking extremely calm. Dong Qiushuo nodded secretly, no matter how nervous he was at this moment, it would not help. The arrow is on the string and has to be fired. He couldn't stop it either. But when he heard Fang Fan's last words, Dongguo's eyes suddenly changed with playfulness. The things I explained before I left. Before I left, I did tell brother Fang Fan to secretly hide a fruit of God for me. Dong Qiushuo thought in his heart, and then his eyes suddenly lit up. Various thoughts erupted suddenly in his mind, and the sound of breathing gradually became rapid. At this moment, his hands were clenched in front of him, and his body twitched unnaturally. It would be a lie to say that there is no feeling at all. Everything at this moment has become extremely real. Among the happy colleagues, Dong Qiushuo couldn't help being full of worries. If Fang Fan really hid a fruit of God for him, it would be too dangerous at this moment. Once detected, everything will be completely revealed. And Fang Fan will be fully targeted. Brother Fang Fan hid the fruit of God for me. If the situation changes later, even if you risk your life, you must keep brother Fang Fan safe. Dongguo gritted his teeth, thinking about it at the moment. All kinds of ideas exploded in his mind. The sound of gasping for air suddenly became extremely urgent, and the hands were gathered together in front of them, and all kinds of thoughts suddenly took off. Verification officially begins. Not only Fang Fan himself, but also the gods like Galen Vega and even Xiao Jinlong will be checked. Galen, take out the storage ring and show it to everyone. Fang Fan waved his hand, then said to Galen. Galen nodded, and then took out sacks one by one. 1, 2, 10, 20, 50, 80, 87. At most 87 sacks were placed in front of everyone. All that flowed out of the sack were storage rings. This kind of sack can hold thousands of storage rings. 87 sacks, that is, hundreds of thousands of storage rings are placed here. Why did you get so many storage rings? That's too much. The Along Saint of the Dark Temple took a deep breath, and the corners of his mouth twitched unnaturally. It is already the limit for ordinary people to wear 3 or 5 storage rings, hundreds of thousands of them. It is simply terrifying. Divine System of the Strongest Card Supplier in the End Times, Doomsday Strongest Card Supplier. Author, Shu Yu. Chapter 1975. Where did you get these storage rings from? Could it be that in order to interfere with the verification, so many storage rings were specially moved out? The Along Saint of the Dark Temple spoke, his eyes suddenly widened, and he was deeply moved in his thoughts. Most of these are from your Dark Temple practitioners. Saint Along can ask the God Son of Haishan in your Dark Temple, maybe he knows better. Fang Fan shrugged and said indifferently. Now that the matter has come to this point, the overall situation is basically stable. As for other things, Fang Fan doesn't care at all. After the inspection is complete, just clean up the fly. Humph. Sharp teeth and sharp mouth. Is there such an arrogant person in your Light Alliance camp? Saint Along of the Dark Temple clenched his teeth, his complexion turned gloomy for a while. What's wrong with being a little arrogant? Could it be possible to be a little more cowardly like the Son of God in the Dark Temple? The whole thing has become a softit. Saint Dongguo of the Temple of the Alliance of Light gave a cold shout, his expression extremely indifferent. When it's time to do it, do it. Sometimes you just can't be too weak. It is very clear that people are good at being bullied, and horses are good at being ridden by others. The Along Saint of the Dark Temple was so stunned that he couldn't say a word, but his face became more and more flushed. Today is destined not to be the home of the Dark Temple. I don't know how many times he has suffered contempt. The face of the Dark Temple has long since disappeared. As soon as he thought of this, his eyes became more and more angry. All kinds of feelings gathered in my mind. I can't wait to roar out. It is quite difficult to check hundreds of thousands of storage rings one by one. Even for the saints, they need to go all out. On the whole, after the inspection is completed, even the saints will feel dizzy for a while. If you can check some good results, it's okay to be a little bit tired. But from beginning to end, nothing was found. Just when the patience of the Along Saint from the Dark Temple collapsed to the extreme, suddenly his expression changed. The fruit of the gods. That is the fruit of the gods. Haishan, the god son of the Dark Temple, suddenly widened his eyes, and his body twitched unnaturally, but his eyes were sharp, and he saw the fruit of God that Saint Along had found in an instant. Seeing the fruit of God at this moment, Haitian, the god son of the Dark Temple, instantly became full of vitality, the sense of surprise in his heart gradually concentrated, and his body suddenly became trembling. Fang Fan. Ha ha ha. Admit defeat. Hurry up and admit defeat. What else do you want to say now? The fruit of God has been found. The evidence is solid. Do you still want to deny it? No chance. No chance at all. Huck it. You continue to wander. Continue to be arrogant. It's too late now. It's because you are too arrogant. That's why you cheated yourself to death. The certificate of life and death and the contract of God have been signed. This time, you can't escape. I want to see how you died. Tisk tisk tisk. Did you kill yourself with a sword? Or harakiri? Or, set fire to it? I still want to let me do it for you. I can definitely see you off for the last time. It's okay with me, I can do it. I'm very happy. Haishan, the god son of the Dark Temple, was as excited as a child at this moment, dancing and dancing right there. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Divine System of the Strongest Card Supplier in the End Times, Doomsday Strongest Card Supplier. Author, Shu. Chapter 1976. It's just that sometimes the sky looks a little bit deadly. This wave followed one after another, as if it was about to take off. Then, which method of death do you think is better? Fang Fan wasn't nervous at all, instead he asked directly. Which way of death is better? If you want to talk about me, let me hold a sharp knife and cut off your head directly. This can be regarded as a pleasure for you, how about it? Haishan, the god son of the Dark Temple, put his hands together in front of him as he spoke, his body trembling extremely. He seemed to have foreseen that Fang Fan would be completely killed by him. Thinking of this, the excitement is even more difficult to hide. Hold a sharp blade and chop off your head. Good, very good. Then I know, I will send you off for the last time according to your last wish later. Fang Fan nodded and said solemnly. Haitian, the god son of the Dark Temple, was still nodding and smiling, but when he heard this, his complexion changed, and his narrowed eyes were full of murderous intent. Fang Fan. At this point, you still don't want to be punished. You have no chance to fight back. You are completely finished. I know you are unwilling, and I know that you are afraid. But so what? Opportunity is there, if you don't grasp it, you will be destroyed. The certificate of life and death and the contract of God will not forgive you. Haishan, the son of the Dark Temple, rubbed his hands, licked his lips, his eyes full of passion. Brother Fang Fan. Saint Dongguo on the side showed a nervous look on his face. He had already made a decision and swore to keep Fang Fan to the death. It's okay, everyone don't need to be nervous, you continue to check, what are you doing in a daze? I still want to fulfill the last wish of Haitian Zhenzi as soon as possible, and cut off his head. Fang Fan smiled, looking very happy. Fang Fan, what do you mean? You don't want to pretend to be crazy here, do you? The fruit of God is right in front of you, can't you see it? This is the fruit of God. As long as you find the second God fruit, you are dead. Now that death is imminent, you're scared and start pretending to be crazy. Then what did you do in the first place? I tell you, it's too late. It's too late. Even if you are unwilling in every possible way, the way to death has been paved for you. The corner of Haitian's mouth raised silently, and while speaking, he nodded sincerely, his eyes were full of hope, and his expression became more and more real. You said it yourself, when I find the second fruit of God, it will be my death date, otherwise, wouldn't it be your death date? Where is the second fruit of God? My eyesight is not very good, how about asking Haitian to point it out for me? As Fang Fan spoke, the smile on the corner of his mouth completely bloomed. After Fang Fan finished speaking, Haitian, the son of the Dark Temple, was stunned for a moment, and then his eyes tightened instantly. If this is the case, this matter is really endless. It was exactly as he expected. No. No. How could it become like this? You're lying to me. You're lying to me, aren't you? Huh, Huckit. This is the second fruit of the gods. Didn't you take out the other fruit of the gods a long time ago? Shouldn't it be placed on you? Haitian, the son of the Dark Temple, gritted his teeth, and his lips began to tremble as he spoke at the moment. This was really frightening. Divine system of the strongest card supplier in the end times, Doomsday strongest card supplier. Author, Shu Yu. Chapter 1977. It took a lot of hard work to find a fruit of God just now, and everyone subconsciously felt that this was their great discovery, and this should be the second fruit of God hidden by Fang Fan. But from the beginning to the end, Fang Fan never took out the so-called first fruit of God. In other words, this so-called second fruit of God is actually the first fruit of God. The only one that appeared on the scene was this fruit of God. All the joy and excitement before are fake, they are all illusory interpretations, and to be precise, they are meaningless. Great joy and great sorrow may be just for a moment. Holy Along, this must be the second fruit of God, this Fang Fan is playing tricks again, he is deceiving you, take him down quickly, quickly. Snapped. Facing the chattering Haitian, the Along Saint from the Dark Temple didn't have such a good temper, so he slapped him with a big ear blower, and the whole world became clean. A trash who has more success than failure. I'm so excited before I figured out anything. How decent. My Dark Temple has a son like you, it will discredit the temple. The Along Saint of the Dark Temple made a violent noise, and now he can't wait to directly beat this Haitian into a pig's head. Haitian, the godson of the Dark Temple, stood aside cowardly. At this moment, he could only look forward to what he would find in the next search. Gradually, hundreds of thousands of storage rings were searched, and Fang Fan, Galen, and others were also determined to have no trace of the fruit of God. After searching and searching, there is indeed only such a fruit of God. At first, the Along Saint from the Dark Temple thought that something might not have been carefully checked, and then he checked it again, but the result was still the same, nothing. Has the inspection been completed? After exact verification, there is indeed only such a fruit of God. Sage Along, you should know what to do next, right? The corners of Dongguo Saint's mouth in the Temple of the Alliance of Light suddenly turned up, and he had completely gained the upper hand when speaking. The initiative is now in his hands, and there is no problem in what he wants to say or do. Is there a count? He, how can there be no count? The Along Sage of the Dark Temple began to grit his teeth and said, today is a shame to throw home. Originally, the Dark Temple was already weaker than the Light Alliance camp without capturing the fruit of God, but now that so many incidents have occurred, the entire Dark Temple has become the object of ridicule by everyone. Even Saint Along himself became a joke. Now I don't know how many people are expressing contempt towards him. As soon as he thought of this, the anger in the heart of Along messenger from the Dark Temple completely exploded. Black sky. Saint Along took a deep breath, let out another breath, and gritted his back molars. The chief culprit of all these incidents is Haitian, the godson of the Dark Temple. If he hadn't been tinkering all the time, he wouldn't have fallen to this point. And now he has signed a life and death certificate and a god contract with Fang Fan because of this incident. He is basically a dead person. Holy, Master Saint, you must believe me. Fang Fan definitely has more fruits of the gods on him, please check again, check again. It is impossible for the fruit of God to disappear. I don't believe it. There is definitely something tricky in it. Fang Fan. Fang Fan, say something. Quickly tell me where you have hidden the fruit of God. Haishan, the son of the Dark Temple, chattered his teeth over and over again, and then roared crazily. Divine system of the strongest card supplier in the end times, Doomsday strongest card supplier. Author, Shu Yu. Chapter 1978. If he can't find the second fruit of God, he will really die. The panic of death made his face flush with blood in an instant, and his heart trembled with fear. Aren't all the fruits of the gods here? I said it a long time ago. There is only one fruit of the gods. It's just that you haven't believed it all this time. You think I've lied to you. What can I do? Now you can blame me for being in a cocoon. Fang Fan sneered, and looked indifferently at Haishan, the son of God of the Dark Temple. In Fang Fan's eyes, Haishan, the god son of the Dark Temple, is already a dead person. Fang Fan has endured it many times, it's just that this guy has never felt it, roaring again and again, roaring again and again. After all, he still killed himself. No. No. You guys united to deceive me. Fang Fan. Fang Fan, your intentions are so vicious. Fang Fan. You are the culprit. Fang Fan. I won't let you go. Kill you, and everything will be over. Haishan, the son of the Dark Temple, suddenly showed endless killing intent in his eyes. While speaking, his body frantically rushed towards Fang Fan's position, trembling all over his body. The thoughts in the heart are gathered, and all kinds of killing intent are completely galloping. At this moment, he rushed directly towards Fang Fan's position, just wanting to kill Fang Fan completely. I volunteer to sacrifice to the great dark gods. I will sacrifice as the son of God of the Dark Temple. Please, the great dark gods, grant me infinite power, let me kill the heretics in front of me. Kill. The eyes of Haishan, the son of the Dark Temple, were suddenly stained with blood. While speaking, he rushed towards Fang Fan's position. He knew that he was doomed, but before he died, he still wanted to entrap Fang Fan in an all-round way. He wanted to drag Fang Fan to be buried with him. It's ridiculous. The rage of the rage god. Fang Fan murmured softly, and the aura of his whole body suddenly exploded. The current Fang Fan is a high-level quasi-sacred realm. After the rage god's anger has increased his combat power by 3 levels, he now has a 2-star holy realm combat power. And Haitian, the god son of the Dark Temple, was originally only in the quasi-sacred realm, and now even if he sacrificed to the dark gods and gained some power blessings, he barely had a 1-star sanctuary realm combat power. At this moment, Haitian, the son of the Dark Temple, rushed over with vicious eyes, and his posture was vividly displayed. Fang Fan sneered, the expression on his face was extremely indifferent. When the god son of the Dark Temple came to Fang Fan remained unmoved. Haishan secretly swallowed a mouthful of saliva, his eyes flickered with extreme excitement. Dead, you must be dead. I haven't escaped until now, you are finished. You are completely finished. Those who offend me will not end well. Even if I die, I will drag you with me. We got nothing after all. Haishan, the son of the Dark Temple, thought in his heart, and his speed became faster and faster. Fang Fan held the Zhantian sword in his hand, raised the sword and dropped it, and then a big head fell to the ground. The scene once seemed extremely bloody, and Fang Fan's face remained unchanged from the beginning to the end. The whole process seems easy. This can be regarded as satisfying your wishes. Cut off your head, and all this. Fang Fan smiled indifferently, and stretched while talking. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Divine System of the Strongest Card Supplier in the End Times, Doomsday Strongest Card Supplier. Author, Shu Yu. Chapter 1979. The buzzing fly was finally executed. It can be regarded as an end to one of his affairs. Dead? Just like that. This son of God of the Dark Temple is really, death to the end, and actually wants to die with Big Boss Fang Fan at the last moment. Hee, don't you look at how much you weigh? He is no match for Fang Fan at all. Tisk tisk tisk, that's true, but some people can't see the reality clearly, so what can they do? It's no wonder others. Hey, damn it, I still have to die after all, it's useless. However, Fang Fan's fighting strength is so strong. Although the Haitian godson said that his character is not very good, he is still at the top of the quasi-sacred realm after all, and he also summoned the power of the dark gods. His combat power cannot be underestimated. Even if this is the case, isn't it still the boss Fang Fan who took it all in the end? If you have to say that, then it is true. So, if you can't die, don't die. Don't make it to the end. You really killed yourself. Wait, no. That corpse moved. I'll go. What's the situation? You can still move without your head. Everyone suddenly roared in horror, and then everyone looked at Haitian's headless corpse, which stood up tremblingly at this moment. Then the clothes he just put on were suddenly torn completely. Immediately, 2 eyes and 1 mouth appeared on his chest. This picture is more or less unbelievable. At this moment, each of them took a breath, and the shock in their hearts could not be expressed in words. Well, since you dedicate yourself to my plague god Zakus, I should naturally help you fulfill your wish. This is the purest product, the smell of the soul is really, very comfortable. Haitian's headless corpse smiled, with a particularly treacherous smile. Yes, my dark gods have manifested themselves. Plague god Zakus. The great dark god. The Along Saint of the Dark Temple suddenly showed an unconcealable excited look on his face. At this moment, he was able to see the gods of the Dark Camp appearing, and the secret joy in his heart was cut to the fullest. Fang Fan narrowed his eyes secretly, the situation suddenly changed. Zakus, the god of plague, does seem interesting. Fang Fan breathed out a turbid breath secretly, his eyes were focused on this place, his hands were folded in front of his body was shaking from side to side, and the feeling suddenly became more real. I didn't expect this guy to really summon a trace of the consciousness of the dark gods here. But this kind of divine sense, what effect can it have? Fang Fan curled his lips, his face could not help showing a sarcasm. Brother Fang Fan, go, hurry, don't look back. The coming of the dark god is not something you can resist. I will try my best to buy you some time. Saint Dongguo's complexion changed drastically. While talking at this moment, he immediately told Fang Fan that he was mainly afraid that Fang Fan would be too overwhelmed, and when the situation changed, he would really be out of control. If we evacuate at this time, there is still a glimmer of life. Sage Dongguo, what do you mean? Now the true god of darkness is obviously coming for Fang Fan, and he also provoked the true god of darkness. He is gone. Do we want the entire Temple of the Light Alliance to take the blame for him? Divine System of the Strongest Card Supplier in the End Times, Doomsday Strongest Card Supplier. Author, Shu Yu. Chapter 1980. Zuxian, the saint of the Temple of the Light Alliance, hurriedly roared from the side. Now from his point of view, he is still unwilling to let Fang Fan go so easily. Or maybe he still has infinite entanglements in his heart. At this moment, all kinds of thoughts in my heart are concentrated, and they completely explode. Fang Fan sneered, since the very beginning, Zuxian, the saint of the Temple of the Alliance of Light, has been giving him cold eyebrows. Obviously, because Fang Fan beheaded and killed his beloved apprentice Tai Shuqian, this Liang Zi was completely settled. Now this Zuxian is targeting Fang Fan everywhere, that is the best proof. Fang Fan's eyeballs glanced around, all kinds of thoughts churned in his mind, and all kinds of feelings exploded completely. Just a trace of the consciousness of a dark god, why is Zuxian so nervous? Destroy it to the extreme, wouldn't it be fine? Fang Fan smiled indifferently, and the indifferent smile on his face was vividly displayed. When it's time to be high-key, don't be too low-key. All round, is to follow the complete explosion. Brother Dongguo, don't worry, I know what to do. Fang Fan secretly nodded to Dong Qiushuo, signaling him not to worry too much. Seeing Fang Fan's disapproving look, Zuxian, the sage of the Temple of the Light Alliance, suddenly changed his complexion. At this moment, he folded his hands together and clenched tightly, looking angry. He is the noble saint of the temple. To be despised by Fang Fan here? Can you stand it? At this moment, I can't wait to run over and kill Fang Fan directly. But seeing Dong Qiushuo staring at him indifferently, Zuxian silently gave up those unrealistic thoughts. Arrogant. The true God came to the world, you still don't think so, it's ridiculous. I hope your performance can match your arrogance later. Don't just flee on your own before the envoy of the Dark God arrives, that would be ridiculous. Zuxian, the saint of the Temple of the Alliance of Light, was speaking with the sarcasm on his face vividly, and he almost didn't directly belittle him with foul language. No matter how you do this, you won't be like a frightened bird, terrified all day long. Fang Fan made a pun, which not only showed his unruliness, but also secretly despised this such profound sage. Zuxian's complexion turned blue with anger, but it's not easy to explode directly at this time. And at this time, Haishan's headless corpse, which was occupied by the god of plagues Agus with a trace of consciousness, gradually began to move. His goal is also very clear, it is for Fang Fan, and he wants to kill Fang Fan on the spot. The idea is naturally very beautiful, but it is unknown how many possibilities it has for implementation. Fang Fan sneered, put his hands together in front of him, and watched Haishan's tossing about with this headless corpse. Originally, the general integrity of the body can still be preserved. But it's a pity, I have to continue. Do you have to make yourself completely unrecognizable without bones? Fang Fan curled his lips, the sarcasm on his face was beyond words. At this moment, all kinds of ideas exploded in my mind. Why don't you have a frightened look on your face? Aren't you afraid of me? Still look down on me. It's fine for those hateful and despicable high gods to look down on me, why do you look down on me? I will completely concoct you. I will let you die in extreme pain.